Hey folks, how you doing? Coach Neil back again. I tried to shoot this earlier live, but I kept getting cut off, so I'm probably just going to shoot these, pre-shoot these now, and then upload them later. See if they stay up or they get taken down by, fucking Facebook. Anyway, so different topic today. So lately I've been banging on about the V. I can't even say that word. The video gets flagged. All right, so but I'm not banging on about that today. This is about actual natural healing. So what I do, my passion, my profession, my job, whatever you want to call it. This is what I do. So at the end of the day, every illness and disease on the planet is, in my opinion, which is a non-medical opinion, I'm not a doctor, in my opinion, you can heal naturally to a certain extent. So what I mean by that is it depends on the severity of the illness or disease and the duration in which you've suffered with it. In other words, how much damage has been done and the type of illness and disease. Okay, so if it's genetic and predetermined from birth, then unfortunately no, you cannot heal. But if it has manifested throughout your lifetime at some stage, and it's become a serious illness or disease when you've reached adulthood, or even these days I'm seeing serious illness and disease in children and teenagers, which is really, really heartbreaking. All right, but that's a different topic why that's occurring. All right, so anyway, at the end of the day, the topic of this video: how to heal naturally from serious illness and incurable disease. All right, now I say incurable in inverted brackets because the mainstream medical system will tell you that it's not curable. You can only be treated, and they will poison you for as many years as they possibly can with their drugs. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-medicine. All right, there is a place for medicine, okay, but we're talking here about serious chronic illness and disease, which are sadly, in my opinion, over-medicated and under-treated in terms of they do not provide the end result that you would be seeking, which is healing, curing. All right. So anyway, like I say, in the mainstream model, certain things will be classed as incurable, such as cancer, or certain cancers. I mean, they do have some success with some cancers. Certain cancers, brain tumour, late-stage dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. Heart disease, obviously, is a big killer. But I wouldn't call that incurable, to be honest. Heart disease is the easiest fucking thing on the planet to heal. All right? And I say that, not to make little of someone else's serious condition, but if you knew what I know and you allowed me to teach you what I know, you would understand that heart disease is the simplest of diseases to fix, along with diabetes. It's another fucking bullshit disease, which is fucking easy to fix. Okay? Sadly, people don't want to do the work. They'd rather take a pill and then label themselves as diabetic. Anyway, that's a different topic. All right, so at the end of the day, how to heal yourself naturally from illness and incurable disease. You need to understand why. Why do people get sick? What's the cause? What's the underlying reason for these conditions to manifest? And I mean, chronic illness disease, it is basically when the body is at dis-ease. Okay, the body is unhappy. There are things happening within the body that are causing malfunctions, symptoms. Okay, and those symptoms are manifesting in hundreds of different ways, and then each of these different manifestations has got a different diagnosis. Okay, so at the end of the day, I mean, all illness and disease comes back to root cause. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, whatever the name of the illness or disease is not irrelevant because you need to know what you deal with, but it's just simply a manifestation of symptoms. It's not what's the word? Like it's not anything particular. It's just that manifestation of those symptoms is given this name, e.g. cancer, because you've got cancer growing, you've got tumours, whatever, your cancer markers are showing up, or dementia because you're losing brain function, Alzheimer's, similar, Parkinson's because you're starting to get some tremors, diabetes because your blood sugar's high, heart disease because your fucking arteries are clogged, like all of these different diseases are named, but they're named based off their symptoms. Okay, so to understand what causes it, I've coined a phrase which I use, which is really the root cause of all illness and disease, and that phrase is DEET. All right, so DEET. All right, DEET. Okay, now Each one of these letters represents something, and under that something is a whole different sort of branch of things that need to be considered. Okay, so for example, D is for deficiency. Okay, so there's going to be some form of deficiency in the body. All right. E is for environment, so it's going to be some sort of environmental factor. You know, so where you live, etc., etc. I'm going to get into the deeper stuff in a minute. E, emotion. All right, so this is everything that's psychological, emotional in your life, okay? And I'll go deeper into that in a second. And then T, which is toxicity, okay? So there are toxicities in everywhere, all right? So in the environment, in the food, in the fucking water, psychological toxicity. If you're negative, you're surrounded by negativity, so toxicity. So DEET, DEET. So deficiency, environment, emotion, toxicity. Okay, and then underneath that, is all of the reasons why these things affect us and create symptoms which are given a diagnosis of disease. All right, so when it comes to D, deficiency, I'm referring to everything nutritional. So we're talking vitamins and minerals, obviously, water, hydration. Are you adequately hydrated? Fresh air. Are you getting enough fresh air? Are you getting enough oxygen? All right. Oxygen is actually the number one thing we consume as human beings. All right. Not food, not water. If you think about that for a second, you might actually start to pay more attention to your oxygen usage, particularly these days with these fucking mask bullshit going on, which reduces oxygen, causes hypoxia, which leads to illness and disease. Okay, not to mention the bacteria and everything else that's going on in there, and breathing back in your own CO2. But that's a different topic. All right, so deficiency. So if you've got a weakened microbiome, okay, so if you've got some sort of dysbiosis in your bacteria in the gut, so whereby you've got more bad and less good, you have a dysbiosis. That's going to weaken your microbiome, which in turn weakens the immune system. Okay, a big one is vitamin D, but I've already said vitamins and minerals, but vitamin D is more of an environment than it is deficient. Well, it's a deficient. It falls into both categories, deficiency and environment, because you get most of your vitamin D synthesized from the sun. All right. What else was I talking about? Did I mention sleep? So sleep is not nutritional, but sleep is something that can be a deficiency. All right. So if you're not getting adequate sleep, then you are simply not. You're not rebuilding and repairing. You're not resting appropriately when you go to bed. You're not getting enough recovery time. Therefore, and deficiency of sleep accumulates and leads to many different problems. Okay. So I think I've covered most deficiencies there. So D for deficiency, E for environment. So where you live, is it a clean environment? Is there lots of trees and plants and fresh air, and is it a happy place to live? Is it a clean environment? Or do you live in a concrete jungle surrounded by Wi-Fi and fucking no plants, no trees? Massive stress. What else? Yeah, do you have an ocean nearby? Are you able to get fresh air, negative ions from running water, from natural running water, which is what oceans and rivers and stuff, streams do for us. So they provide us with negative ions, which are good for the human body. All right. So environment. Also, obviously, temperature. So if you live in a cold place, you live in a warm place. Because if you live in very cold places with very little sunshine, then that can have a serious negative impact. Obviously, you've heard of SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Okay. So environment. Then you've got emotion. Okay. So emotion is everything psychological. Okay. So how you think, how you feel. Are you a negative person? Are you a positive person? Have you suffered massive trauma in your life? Whether that be emotional trauma or whether it be physical trauma. They both contribute to your emotional state. Okay, and particularly when it comes to natural healing, if that trauma is never resolved, then that will be something that will hold you back from healing fully from your disease or illness that has manifested itself. Okay, so massive trauma, stress, anxiety, negative attitude, depression, which is actually clinical. If it is clinical depression, that's something else that we can work on to heal, but obviously that leads to other issues in the body as well, clinical depression, right? EET, yeah. So bottom line is, you are what you think as much as you are what you eat, and you are what you drink. So I say in life, you are what you eat, you are what you drink, you are what you think, you are what you breathe. And you could argue that you are what you rub on as well. So these days, because whatever you put on your skin goes in your bloodstream. All right, but it's not just the simple old you are what you eat. All right. So the emotional side of things is a huge factor when it comes to natural healing, and it can often be something that will hold people back from achieving full healing, because it's not something you're really generally aware of when it comes to healing. Okay, like you want to heal the thing that's causing the symptoms, which is the disease, but you may not realise that the emotional aspect of things is extremely important. Okay, so that's emotion, and then finally toxicity. Okay, so DEET, toxicity. Now, toxicity is a big umbrella, and there's a massive branches and leaves and trees under it. So when I say toxicity, I'm talking to the stuff we all know. So chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, persistent organic pollutants that come in from the environment. Heavy metals, mercury, aluminium, lead, dioxins, then we've got endocrine disruptors excuse me, endocrine disruptors, which are things which interfere with the human body's hormonal system. So these are particularly plastics and phthalates, BPAs, stuff like that. And these are all chemicals. They're all either we're either breathing it in, or we're drinking out of it, or we're rubbing it on. So cosmetics, there's a lot of carcinogens and other disease-causing chemicals in cosmetics. All right, and then you've got the sort of air pollution. All right, so the stuff that comes off of factories, comes spewing out of pipes and blows across the world, and it's really bad. Like you can have a factory in China pumping out this stuff, and it will make its way to the USA. All right, and I'm not blaming China. They just happen to be one of the biggest ones with the most amount of this stuff being pumped into the air. But it happens in all corners of the world. All right, so there is no safe spot on Earth from air pollution. There are safer spots, such as by the ocean, where the negative ions come in off the water. In a forest, where you've got the trees fucking breathing in the CO2, breathing out oxygen, cleaning the air for you. But there is no safe place on the planet when it comes to air pollution. Right? PM 2.5 is like the most dangerous air pollution there is, and at the moment the PM 2.5 levels around the world are like 3 times, at the very minimum, 3 times the safe limit, upper safe limit. Right? So they are a massive contributor to illness and disease, particularly respiratory, which is very interesting to sort of think about with regards to what's going on in the world right now. So environment, DETT, I think I've pretty much covered just about everything. So DEET, all right. Now, when we're talking about healing naturally from these things, then we have to address every single area. All right. Now, I think my phone's going to run out of fucking video here, so I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to do this in two parts. So I've explained the DEET, and the next part I'm going to explain how to heal naturally. All right, I'll be back. Cheers.